let's get started. How's everybody doing? You know what? Let's make an adjustment here. All right, let's see how that works. It still may be a little bit high. So, all right, let's allow your feet to touch. Bring your head top up. Relax your shoulders. Relax your tailbone. Bring your hands together in the center. And then internally, connect the tongue to the roof of your mouth. Lift the base of your torso and activate your toes inside of your shoes. And then internally, clear your mind and allow your breathing to relax so that your breathing has a longer duration. And that will also allow your heart rate to relax. And then also allow your energy to settle at the center. And then take a deep breath. Today, let's start with some breathing. So inhale. And we're going to do some Tai Chi right away. Instead of stretching, we're going to use the Tai Chi form. So go at your own pace. Fully stretch, reach all the way up. All breathing is through the nose. Reach all the way out to the sides. Keep your feet gripping the ground like an anchor as you reach up. And then, like your fingertips being pulled out to the sides, all the way down. Lift the base of the torso at the bottom on the inhale. So before you do anything, there's steps. Before you drive your car, you put gasoline in it. If it's a gas-powered car, you put an electric charge in if you have an electric charge. The same thing. Before you do an activity, almost any activity, you can charge up with some Qigong, this kind of slow, relaxed breathing. Allows your mind to relax. It allows your body to relax. You can free some of the tension in your back by taking a deep, full breath. See if you can breathe so deep. Keep breathing, keep working. See if you can breathe so deep that your breath becomes segmented. So this segmented breathing that we're talking about while we do this exercise, I actually don't know the Western medical term for it. But you've encountered it anytime you have a really good laugh, can't stop laughing with your family and friends, and afterwards you have this kind of breathing. The same thing happens also when you see a toddler throwing a tantrum, or worse, as adults when we throw a tantrum ourselves. And when the child realizes that there's a limitation that they have to accept. They finish crying and right, they have this segmented breathing. That's a full breath. In the yoga culture, they call that ujjayi breathing. So we want to reach the full, completely full at the top. And to follow Tai Chi principle, when we practice this type of yoga breathing, we don't want to ever inflate to 100%. Just like, even for those of you with electric cars, you used to have a gasoline-powered car, and you know what happens when you fill the tank all the way up, it starts to spill back out. So good Tai Chi theory says we should only fill to the correct amount, 99, maybe 99.9%, something, whatever is the correct. Reaching the 100 mark may be dangerous to our lungs or our internal organs. So know the correct amount when we say the deepest, fullest breathing. Going at your own pace. So use your whole body, grip your feet, using the inside, locking the pelvic floor on the inhales. Use your abdominal muscles also to breathe. Wherever you're at in your count, do 3 more. So make them stretches, reach all the way up, expand your back, and then relax your shoulders out to the side. And then at the bottom, we're completely relaxed, inflating all the way to the top. So lock the base, expand with your breathing, relax with your exhale. When you finish, just return back to the center. Allow your feet to touch. Bring everything back to the center. And then the same thing that we had talked about earlier. Pull the head top up, relax the shoulders and hips, grip the feet. And then internally at the top, middle, and bottom, connect the tongue to the upper palate, lift the pelvic floor, grip the feet. And then even deeper still, internally, top, middle, and bottom. Relax your brain, relax your heart and your lungs in the center. And then pool the energy. Gather all the energy at your center. So breathing. Right now, imagine all the breathing, all the qigong, all the energy that we've just collected going right to the center. And then we're going to do some Tai Chi. So everybody here has some experience. We're going to do the first and second section up to bow hands in the second section. And we're going to do that twice in a row, right away, just to start. So pick a spot that is a good place for you to start the form. And get back into Tai Chi harmony, get into the correct alignment. And then when you're there, calibrate again. Check, relax your brow, open your vision. Where do we look when we practice Tai Chi? If there's no opponent, we look all the way to the horizon. So even if your house is in the way, use your X-ray vision to see all the way to the horizon is where we look. The vision is open like a tiger, looking at something it's interested in. Unclench your jaw. Open your nostrils and your sinuses. Activate the corners of the mouth. Half smile is the minimum. You can add more if you like. The chin is tucked and the ears are pulled up and back over the shoulders. Let your shoulders roll back and relax. The chest is hollow. Use your stomach to engage. Relax the lower back, tailbone's hiding. grip your feet and form the strong shape of your foot. Use every part of it, the heel, the outside edge, the toes, the inside arch. And then try to maintain this position relaxed. Try to maintain this posture relaxed. And keep both the upright alignment and the relaxation as we open for Tai Chi. Let your bottom half sink and be heavy. Grasp the sparrow's tail. The top half is floating. Ward off. Breathing deep. Grasp the sparrow's tail. Allow your tailbone to sink. Don't hold the tension. Ward off. Breathing in. Sink to the ground. Relax your legs. See, this is different. We didn't do any stretching. But we're going to use the form to warm up. Press. Breathing deep. Push. Look left. Waist turn. Right. Schwang on. Horizontal split hands. Hook. Single whip. Turning back to the north, the hands naturally flow, half circle, split, brush, roll up, down, turning 90 degrees. This is crane, opening the wings. Turn the waist, soe, pipa, brush knee press. Even though it's a square step back, there's no break in the action. It's continuous. So imagine a river or a waterway. There's no stop sign unless there's a dam. Brush knee press. One more time. Lo shi. Ao bu. Kacha. Holding the moon in the chest. Step square. Sink your weight into the ground. Relax. Move, parry, punch on the right. Then reset. And then on the left side, power goes to the corner. Grip your feet, sink. Power exploding in all directions. And then the power recoils to one point. We have a twist going to the corner. Palm, expanding. Shui, drilling. Punch. Rufeng, sink, root to the ground. And like a turnstile, peel the power from one side. Press. Waist turn. Press. Rufeng, sudi. Turn. This is return tiger to mountain. Bring your right foot to the left side. Form a T. Step square. Yes, you're facing away from the camera. That's okay. Palm press to the center. Breathing deep. This is rollback. Sinking into the earth. Allow your legs, allow your tailbone to rely on the earth for support. Press south. Long breathing. This is on, push. Look left. Look right. Double press. We're going to turn 90 degrees horizontal, split hands. Hook. Turn back to look at the moon. Turning 180, block, cover, spear fist towards the moon. Repulse the monkey, scoop, step back, press to the center. We have avoid, make contact, advance. 1, 2, 3. Opening on the right side. This is Sherfei, diagonal flying. Like ward off. Continue the motion. Hai Li Zhang. Breathing deep. Rest on the earth. Relax your legs. Relax your spine. Use the earth to support. Turning. Block. Punch. Kick. Square step forward. Lan. Opening. Shui. Punch. Facing forward. Di Bu Hua. Change step. Breathe deep. Roll back. Sink into the ground. Press. East. Push. Look left. Waist turn. Right. Double press. Horizontal. Splitting hands. The out shows hook. We're almost there. Side grip. And we're going to do cloud hands. Right. Grip. Step. Press. Press right. Step. Press left. Breathing deep. Press right. Step. Press. Left. We have hook. We'll do one more corner whip. And then from here, bring your right foot to your left foot. Bring everything back to the center. Take a deep breath. I forgot about something. I have a request. Somebody was asking about what's happening with the knees and how to sort of deal with the knees while we're doing the form. And I have a video on YouTube. You can, if you look at Los Angeles Tai Chi, the YouTube channel, you can find it, or I can send it if you request it. But I want to talk about the way to protect the knees when we're practicing. If you want to practice Tai Chi at sort of a higher level, and it's have a little bit more deeper understanding, deeper practice, physically deeper practice, where you're doing this kind of thing. The answer to this is the inside of the hip. And TC was teaching this, but he was teaching me at a time when I was working on other parts of my structure. And I really sort of grasped the idea while studying with Master Yun. But this is this line, as if we were some type of toy or action figure with seams. The line that would go from like the outside of the hip to the inside of the groin on each side. Just in the front is the line that we can use to make sure that our knees stay aligned. So if I go into horse stance, I want to grip my feet and push my center, right? Like if we imagine your body is kind of like the proportion of this geometric shape, right? And so we have the upright cubic posture, and then folding the inside of the knee, we can keep that upright. And so to do this correctly, to be able to keep that upright while we fold the inside of the hips, You may need to practice using, you can use a counter, you can use a doorknob, but like these people that use a windsurfing or a type of boat, catamaran, that has a sail, and you're doing something with the sail. In the same way, allow your feet to approach the doorknob. And then as you sit your tailbone back, keep your spine upright. You can use this as a balance till you have the correct leg strength to hold that shape. And then what that allows us to do is, you know what, let me see if I can move my camera without destroying anything in my setup. Is this will give us some ability to do something with the legs. So I want to get closer to the ground. So here. So now if we do the square step, the standard Tai Chi square step, you can make it as large or as small as you want. This is the way, when we're doing brush knee step, is because this inside of this hip is folded, I can actually send weight to my heel and turn on that leg and still be rooted, still have my power. So I can open, this may be for beginners or people that haven't seen when we're doing something, grass, the sparrow's tail, I open my foot, I plant it. This other foot can stay either close to the ground, or I can, sometimes some practitioners, it can be beginner or advanced technique, dragging the foot and placing it. But then here, the same thing. If I don't fold the inside of this hip, my tailbone is up, right? But if I can sink that, I can keep. So this, using this oversized package of printer paper, you can think of your torso as being able to stay upright and turn, but you have to get those hips. There's certain muscles that are required to function, right, through this whole area. And in Mandarin, it's called the qua. It means basically your pelvis, your hips. And so we can use the Tai Chi, we can use TC's Tai Chi form. By the way, this also, going into, for alignment, this hip line is how we can get into very deep posture very easily. We haven't done any stretching this morning, but I can do this safely without worry because I'm folding that inside and my legs are conditioned to be able to do that. So work up to it. But now we know the alignment. Before we continue, questions, thoughts, comments, ideas? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So it feels like is this good practice or not, Brian, in your opinion? There are limitations, right? You know, as we're moving, let's say we're in like a square step, and we're going to move to the front leg, and we're turning. This was my question, right? We're in this motion, right? We're going from the back to the front, and we're in motion. So like palm. How aware do you stay of those limitations on the side? So like here, I can look down and there's like an edge. That's my corner on that side, right? And then
I'm listening. Yeah, it's all correct.
Yeah. So where is your mind, sort of? Where's your attention as you're learning to stay in line with the quad and keep the hips open and the tail sunk down?
Sure.
Yeah, if you could elaborate on that, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I consider the line of action to go from the hip to the heel. So I don't know if you can see that white line. I've got a cable from an Android or a headset, and it's that line. So it kind of takes almost the knee out of the equation. Instead of thinking about the knee as a bending thing, the knee almost is more like a hydraulic because it's only functioning between the heel and the hip in a straight line. And that doesn't matter which position I put myself in. So if I want to do snake creeps down or some deep posture, when I get into this, I'm not thinking about my knee, I'm thinking about making sure my foot is rooted solid and gripped, and then folding the inside of this hip. So my height off the ground just becomes like a hydraulic. And I'm actually shooting the same energy. I should be at least 30% down to this foot as well to make sure that I can get into that safely. So one of the main key things is to make sure, first and foremost, your toes are always pointing the same direction as your knee, right? Because what you were doing before this, your alignment looked good. Your leg is straight, and it should be. But if we became structural engineers, the line of power would go from the inside hip down sort of somewhere to the center of the foot. It wouldn't actually go through the knee, right? Like if we took where the line of power goes. Go ahead.
So, what I felt is that when my foot is rooted and I'm rooted and I have full weight into one foot, my knee feels empty, right? My knee feels invisible, like it's not there. But it's getting there where sometimes, it feels, it doesn't become empty automatically. And I guess that's just practice. And staying in alignment, I guess, right?
That's okay. So there's two things. One, that empty, what you're describing is an empty feeling. That may be sometimes when we stand in Tai Chi Harmony and I say, forget about your knees. That's the thing. You're having that type of feeling. And so the next thing is going to be, this is the unfortunate reality of our domain, the dimension that we live in. Practice is finding when you're in that empty, because what's happening when your knee feels empty, it means that the rest of you is in the correct alignment, right? And that you're doing things right. So you're working there, and I think really the Shei Kwa is going to be the thing. This Shei Kwa, by the way, Kwa, we said earlier, is your pelvis, and the word Shei is this action like a cutting or a chop, and it means to like cut this inside, cutting hip. And one of the ways that I started doing this actually with Mark's classes at the Y, is exaggerating it to the point, if we use the printer paper again as the example, when we're doing this type of deep dynamic movement, is turning the hip with that Shei Kwa so much that you feel the abdominal wall start to press against the inside of the thigh. So as if the abdominal wall, it's not flat for all of us, that's okay, is here. And if it were geometrically flat like this, and then the inside of our thigh, this inner side wall here, if you can actually cut that kwa, cut that hip so much that you end up, and keep the knee straight like a tent post, pressing down, you can end up really feeling the strength of where that comes from, and making sure that your knee isn't going over the side. Once you get to the point where your knee feels invisible or feels empty or you're not thinking about it, that's the place you really want to get to. And you can, especially if you've already started feeling it. Just think about how to carry this practice into your walking. While you walk, sink the tailbone, up the head, top up, relax the shoulders. Anyone have questions, thoughts, comments? Yeah, go ahead.
I get the general concept that you're trying to keep your knee lined up with your toe, and that ideally there is virtually no lateral movement in the knee that isn't totally aligned, but there is going to be some pivoting in certain positions. Or are you saying when you reach a high enough level, essentially knee follows the foot always and there's never any torque at all?
You shouldn't be twisting your knee, right? This is the whole, even like when we do the Bagua, and you open your feet here, this is to make sure that the knee is in line with the foot. And this, the same thing, if you watch from this cross, I don't know how well you guys can see, maybe this one with the lighting behind me is more clear, right? Is this, watch this, if I lift my toe, I can turn this foot all the way, I can turn all the way around without ever twisting my knee. You can do very complex Bagua movements without twist. And by the way, this Tai Chi, these principles are sort of the precursor to Bagua. Bagua is considered like a finishing school for Tai Chi. So all this kind of twisting and turning is all based on keeping like the head, top, shoulders, hips, tailbone, and now the Shekwa is a pretty advanced, it's like a level 3, it's like the advanced internal, external, getting the legs conditioned to be able to do this, because then when we do the Bagua, those inner Taiji principles are just the beginning. We learn what it's like to have them, they have to twist along those same axes. So the line of action, when you're saying how do we twist, how do I get from here, what did we say earlier, this kind of weird cross step into dragon stance or something, is I am twisting, but it's along a cylindrical axis. So think of my leg, okay, we'll use another very simple everyday object, the paper towel, right? And so if you think of my leg as rolling along the edge, something like this. So my knee is just on the perimeter of that circle. So when I'm here and I start to turn, that whole circle is turning. If this is twisting, if you see this happening, that means it's sloppy. That means that leg isn't stable. That should be rooted, right? Like Mark has done hours, lifetimes of horse stance in his karate, I know. So his leg is stable. That shouldn't move. And if it does, it should move correctly. The knee shouldn't. Go ahead.
So what you're showing, that I guess that actually gets to my point. I see exactly what you're talking about with the foot that's pivoting, but the foot that's remaining in place, there is a little bit of lateral movement as you're twisting to the side. The knee has to be able to accommodate that, right? I guess what I'm wrestling with is mentally, if you try to keep your knee fixed over your toe all the time, doesn't that create a little tension and strain that has its own problem?
Well,
It's okay. So the
I
knee
have a
shouldn't be
question along
over the
that line.
toe. Sorry, somebody
I
say
have
something.
an add-on question to that. So I think, Charlotte, I have a very similar question to you, and that was what my first curiosity was about. Was how do you stay mindful of the knees but still stay open, right? So when you do that twist, it almost feels, Brian, like you're doing that step that you're doing for Bagua, right? It's almost a compression in to avoid this kind of thing going out.
Right.
And so it's I'm actually pushing in a little bit, either just with my mind, just staying conscious of going in, not to break that plane.
So I understand that, and the reason I don't use those terms is, to me, if you're forward step like that and you feel like you need to pull this in, that means the tailbone isn't sunk and the gravity isn't sinking into the ground. When the gravity is sinking, there's only 2 lines of action that go down to the ground. So it may mean that you're too far forward. If you feel like you need to tuck this in, and if you can't see it, but if I keep my hand rooted on my tailbone and I pull my hip back, it's this kind of thing. And so that means that the center isn't centered. So we should be able to even twist. Let's see if I can get it into the light. Watch my knees, even twisting. They can just be moving forwards and backwards like this. I can turn my hips and my waist quite a bit without twisting the knees. So the rule of thumb is always have the knee over top of the toe wherever it's pointing. If it shifts a little bit laterally, my argument is that the tendon is not strong enough to keep it stable. Or there's some other, the hips, chances are likely, if you read the classics, it says if there's a problem, it's in the waist and the hips, and if it's not there, it's in the back, something they expand out on where to trace these problems. But we have to find the right way. And the first thing I want to encourage, safety first. The knees are very delicate. This is how people have problems. So gripping your toes, practicing the Tai Chi principles while walking normally will help keep you healthy and safe. And then as we get into this extreme stuff, use support. We said earlier, until the legs are strong enough, use something for balance so you don't fall down. Use a couch, a bed, a furniture to support so you can get up without injuring. Don't stretch too much. Questions, thoughts, comments? Let's do Tai Chi again. Let's do the same thing that we just did. Yeah, question, Charlotte?
So the last question, that makes sense to me, that the tendons either are not strong enough or they're not stretched enough. So are you saying just the process of gripping the feet is going to be what's going to loosen up and strengthen those tendons enough so that you, because I think that is the limiting factor that makes it much harder to keep the knee exactly where you want it to be.
Gripping the feet is an all-time, like I said, you know, for those of you that know me, I used to be into ride motorcycles a lot, and I had a big interest in tires, because your tires are your only source of connection to the ground. And on a motorcycle, if you lose 1 point of traction, it's done. In a car, you can lose 2-3 points of traction and maybe still have a drive going, but and so they make special tires for the rain and special tires for different kinds of tracks, if it's mud or off-road or whatever. It's different softness, hardness, types of tread. And your feet should be the same. We should have super strong feet. When you see animals that can jump very high off the ground, their feet are super strong. Birds, right? In the Tao it says, look at the nature, look at animals. In Xingyi, right, we have the animal forms we should be emulating. And Americans, probably the world, feet just getting weaker. We just build bigger shoes with springs on the bottom of them and this type of thing. And you can turn your feet into very tactile, almost like hands. You can pick things up with them. Sometimes when I have lots of groceries and I pop the trunk and it doesn't open enough, I can use my foot to, it's the movement from the second section, right? This scoop hook movement to open my trunk and put my groceries inside. So yes, always gripping the feet. And for new people, I tell them 24/7. And then later, if they stick around for a while, I tell them only grip when you're walking, release on this part, like the chicken. I don't know if I sent you guys the chicken video, the chicken walking, if you got that. Anyway, let's do Tai Chi. So yeah, always using your feet, and the practice will change as you advance. So bring your head top, let me make sure I'm still on camera. Bring your head top up, relax your shoulders, sink your tailbone. Breathe in deep, bring everything back to the center. Bring your energy, bring your mind, bring your breath. And then fix the top, the middle, and the bottom. Make your face correct. Half smile, open vision, nose, sinuses open to expand for the lungs. Chin is tucked. And then make the middle correct. The shoulders are relaxed. The tailbone is hiding. Your abs are strong but not flexed. Lifting the inside. And then forget your knees and activate your feet. Find where every tendon in your foot is. Activate them and then keep the shape while trying to relax the muscles. Inside, take a deep breath. And when you're ready, we're going to open at least shoulder width wide. Keep the hips level. When we talk about moving Tai Chi principles, the Shei Kwa has its own. And that's that the hips should stay level. So when I step forward, I don't want one side to raise up or sink. Grip the ground. Keep your tailbone level. Ward off. It's a workout. It does not look like as much. But if you do it correctly, breathe deep. Sink into the ground. Relax your legs. Just the tendons gripping. You can make an energetic connection from your tailbone to the earth that will help your legs, like a kangaroo, balance on a tail. Ride the chi. Turning north. Ti so sanshi. Square step. For a solid base to root. Turn 90. Crane. Soe pipa. Brush knee press. Breathing deep, square step back. Crane has a void. Make contact. Advance. Soe pipa. Just past the nose. And then press directly to the center. Brush knee. Hips are level the whole time. C-step. Press to the center. Breathe deep. Brush knee. C-step. Press to the center. Holding the moon in the chest. Shift back. Make a circle. Punch to the center. And we'll do right on lunge way. Twist to the corner. Grip. Hips are level. Hips return level. Punch. Spiraling power to the corner. Palm. Punch. Ban. Lan. Shui. Try to keep the momentum in the movement continuous. Rufong. Press. Press. Turning 90 degrees. Return tiger to mountain. Bao equation. Shuansen Kanto. Turning body, warning palm. We're facing south. Breathe deep, sink into the earth to roll back. Turning back to the south, press. Long breathing, on. Waist turn, look left, waist turn, glance right. Breathing deep, you can pivot your waist as you double press. We're going to turn horizontal split hands. Hook. Turn 180 to face the west. Avoid. Make contact. Advance. Breathing deep. Sink into the ground. Repulse the monkey. Press. Just let everything relax. Press. Repulse the monkey, number 3. Breathing deep as you open to the side. This is Shirfei. Diagonal flying. Hai Di Zhang. Needle at the bottom of the seat. Protect your back. Just do a little bit. Step forward. Turn 180. Grip the ground, block, punch, kick. Step square, level the hips, breathe deep to expand, punch. Facing forward, here there's a real shake claw on the inside hip. Shen Bu Li, change step, roll back. Press. Push. Look left. Glance right. Double press. Horizontal split. Almost there. This is cloud hands. Breathing deep. Hook. Side whip. And cloud hands. Shift and press right. Shake qua when you shift. So we're sinking the inside of the hip on each step. So the tailbone and hips can stay level. Press right, step, and press left. Hook. Corner whip. Bring your hands together, bring everything to the center. Take a deep breath. All right, how's everybody doing? How you feeling? Good. Do we have more questions about knees, legs, alignments, feet? Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I just discovered two forms that kind of really point to the issue. So when we turn, we glance left, we look left, we glance right. This is a big one, right? I mean, this is a big waist turn here, and we're approaching a corner, right? We follow, we approach, we let it go, but we're right at the corner, or we're very close, and it's at that point where pressure is coming in and we're diverting the pressure. We have a lot of force going down, and yet we're twisted. And I'm just curious, is there anything in that movement that you're thinking about besides just the direction of the movement and the energy, or do you have some perception?
It will sound confusing. You need to lock your leg. Once you reach so think about your body as like a mechanism or a device that you have to use, part of a fishing pole or something that has multiple parts that, and example I used to use a lot is a necklace, because necklace has, everyone knows, the chain, and like sometimes when one gets twisted, the other one is stuck and it's locked. And this is a natural function, and we use this locking to protect the leg. And so let's examine. I'll try to move into an area where you can see this better. Let's examine, look left and glance right. My torso, and I'm going to use the paper as the example, is shifting back, and then it's turning like this, right? And the thing is that you see, I can keep turning my leg, but we have to know what it is that we're doing and how to do it properly. So in this one, if I'm not even doing the form, when I shift back and I go to turn, my leg has to stop once my knee reaches. I'm glad that you described this boundary on the side. It's like the edge. TC would say, keep yourself inside the box. Don't let your hands go, or your knees go outside of that invisible box sideways. So this knee locks, and then this hip, once it has finished sinking and turned as far as it can turn while remaining level, because we may be able to dive one side of the hip and pull this other one up, but no, once the knee has reached its limit and the hip has reached its limit, like a machine, then the waist starts doing its thing, right? So we have to know what that limit is and lock that knee so it doesn't turn out. And yes, go ahead.
Okay, that is one thing I've never understood, this concept of locking the knee, and I think it's because I have a really bad habit of hyperextending my knees, and I know that that's not a good idea.
So how to lock your arm.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that, right? Because if you lock your arm, then the force that comes into your arm, you want your arm to be flexible so that somebody can't break your arm. So the word lock, maybe it's just the word, but what are you doing when you're locking? Because you don't want tension anywhere, right?
Kind of. It's a lock. Because Charlotte has studied the Bhagavad, some of the Bhagavad basic principles they have are SELL, straight, empty, level, and locked.
And that's the one part of it I never understood.
That's okay. It's because it's further down the chain. This is more complex. Locked is putting something in position and keeping it there. It doesn't mean that there has to be tension, right? The same way, if I lock my hand into position, right? If I take all the tension out, it's going to collapse. In Tai Chi, we do have that moment of tension, but it only lasts, just like we said, we let all of the relaxation, we only fill to 99.9%. This moment of tension is only at 1% where it's stiff-armed, and that's when it's breaking the other person's nose, right? This kind of press, this kind of, when I'm talking about boxing or self-defense, right? Or if we're pushing somebody away, that's our 10-minute warning, so we have a little bit of time. So the same thing with our legs. It's okay for them to be locked. It doesn't sound tai chi, it doesn't sound very flexible, but remember, we're matching trigrams. So if the other guy's legs are moving, we want to have our legs solid. So when he hits that, and especially with Zogu and Yopan. So in this one, when I shift back, I can really root into that and use this as a whoop to catch. And then from here, my waist can turn and throw the guy any direction that I feel, because my waist is powerful. It can move whatever weight, whatever that type of stuff happening. Yes, go ahead. Do we have questions? Thoughts?
So does locking mean to you like putting some kind of energy through the tendons so that they don't move?
Yeah, and that goes to you ask good questions, Charlotte. They just make me ask more questions.
No, it's good. This is great, because questions lead to answers. This is what will help you improve your body.
Yeah. Let's just use look right, look left. See, the force and the twist is coming from the center, but we're going to divert it out to the left, right?
Right.
And at that point, there's a lot of force actually pushing this. I mean, if we went with it, we could twist our knee if we wanted to, right? Or like you did, we could let go of our toes and move the knee. But it seems like, that the purpose there is to hit the corner and let the person bounce off of it or go past it very quickly. So as you have real outside external force on this side of the knee, I guess my thinking is to put my attention on this side of the knee to protect it.
Right.
Whether that's a counterbalancing force or just kind of leaving an emptiness there so that it doesn't keep going out this direction. And my question is that unnecessary?
Yes, because the first one is unnecessary. If I'm going to try to face directly to the camera with my leg here in the light, when I shift back, if my knee starts going out to the side, my knee shouldn't feel twist. Even if I do this, do you see my knee twisting? I can see it all the way back behind me. I can twist all the way without turning that knee, but you have to sink the hip. If that knee starts to twist, you have to move. And our goal, by the way, is only to take care of ourselves. We're not making necessarily a tripwire for the other person, although on look left, that's why the foot is out. We only have to glance right. So on look left, this is more to base myself, to make myself able, like a mechanism that's connected to the ground and able to turn here like a big wheel. And so I use the sinking, the rooting to get into the ground, and then once this has reached its limit, once it's straight, it can't turn anymore. And if, let's say for instance, my attacker attaches to me, it's a big dog and they jump up, and I like to, for dogs, when big dog jumps up, Zogu and Yopan, you have your front covered and you can assist them off to the side and they slide down one side or the other, even attacking dog. So here, maybe the dog bites and pulls and I have to go. At that point, I have to move. Once you've reached the lock, right, and this locking, by the way, is called Na. The same thing when we have Chin-Na, joint locking. It's okay to put yourself in a lock, because we know once I've turned far enough here, I can control that pivot very safely just by running that line of action through my heel and turning. And that's, go ahead. Yeah, go. I think Charlotte has her finger up first. Yeah, go ahead.
So what I'm thinking is, how I'm still working on finding it, but this concept of the center line that we can feel that makes it easier to stay grounded and rooted. Are you essentially saying in that moment where you're locking your leg, you're trying to feel essentially a center line going through your leg? Is that what it is?
I don't feel that, but that is what it is. There is one, just the same way that you're talking about this invisible line of gravity, it's the same with anything. The straighter it is, the easier it is to balance. If I have this thing, right, this is like a wooden spoon, and I try to balance it, it's very easy to balance, it's straight. But if this thing is curved or has like something going off of it, it has to be balanced in a weird way. This is also, by the way, one of the primary ways to get weight off of your knees is by keeping that center line so straight that the tailbone can sink underneath it comfortably. And when your center line is straight, for any of you that have ever had to carry anything, If you have a really long, straight thing if it's heavy but it's really straight, it's easier, it's lighter, it's easier to balance. It doesn't require as much. The bulkier it is, the more our alignment is off because our hips are over here, our shoulder is here, and our neck is go ahead.
But when you're talking about locking your knee, you are talking about a structure that is bent. And so that's like, right, that's the challenge. How do you get that stability in something that isn't a straight line down, right?
So this is like a push hands. I have my shape, and my shape only has to push away my weight. I don't have to push the other person's weight away. If it's a 10,000 pound train that's pushing and my feet are on the track and they can slide, the only amount of weight that I need to keep that train away from me is this amount of weight. So it can be locked. Is this locked? When you do the push hands power and you're pressing against something, it's completely relaxed, but it's locked. We don't allow it to move. Locking is keeping the shape without allowing it to get that wobble. In the machine world, right, if we have a machine and we decide, okay, we can abuse machines. It's a piece of equipment we can replace with metal. But your knee is not that way. So your knee needs to be replaced. By the way, we have just 3 minutes left. So finding the limits. This is Tai Chi, Grand Extremities Boxing, Great Limits Boxing. We're trying to find the limits. And we need to know the limits of what the movement are. The limit for the movement for Zogu and Yopan is once this knee is back and set in the corner for the X step, and then the hip reaches its limit, then the only thing that can happen is the waist to turn. So, and then from there, if that continues, we have to then go with the movement. We have to follow the power if the power has changed, because we're receiving the power and we, follow the movement of the power as it comes in and send it, we're in power. But if the power then, the reversal changes and they start to pull us, we need to make a change to follow, right? To follow the power, yin yang, always continuing. Let's do a little bit of, I wanted to talk about something else today. We have 2 minutes. So take your fingers and grab your opposite earlobes. And then right where you are, thinking about what we had just talked about, grip the ground and push your tailbone back and away. Practice the Shake Kwa and your breathing. And I want you to imagine using your index finger and your thumb to grab your earlobes, like you can send an electrical charge from each foot up through each arm. You can crisscross it any way that you like. Try to keep your back straight while we're doing this. And focus on your breathing. We're doing squats, so this is working out heavily. But I want you to imagine the chi, the electricity, the lightning bolts going from your feet up across the ears and through the brain. So we're going to supercharge the brain. For those of us that work, long work week, for those of us that don't work, the weekend still has its own karma, still has its own energy. So do 3 more of these. I think we have just a minute left. You can use this one to practice when you wake up in the morning and you feel groggy. Make sure your legs are in the right shape. How many do we say? I'm doing 1 more. And then when you finish, bring everything back to the center. Bring your hands back to the center. Take a long, deep breath. Put your mind into the Dantian. Take a second to have gratitude for yourself. Say internally, thank you to yourself. Thank you, self, for getting around all week, doing everything that you did. 1 long, last, deep breath. And that's it. Have a great week. Call, email, text if you have
Thanks, Brian.
questions. Thank you.
Brian.
Yeah,
Bye.
thanks, Steve. I'll see you guys. Bye, Mark. Bye, Aaron.